everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Ava Gaudette here on Go Local Live, and I'm really excited about my next guest. He is the drummer from the Rhode Island punk band Downtown Boys. Rolling Stone recently called them America's most exciting punk band. These guys are making some serious waves. They have an album coming out this week, and I'm so excited to have Norlan Olivo on the show today. Norlan, come on out.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
Norlan just came here from band practice.
That's right,
He's-
first off the band practice.
That's right, he's the drummer, so he may have gotten a little
Tired and sweaty.
tired and sweaty, but he's here anyway. Thank you so much for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Yeah, so Downtown Boys have been really making some waves in the past few years.
Mhm.
People are talking about you. You guys you're, just, you have a point of view politically,
Mhm.
musically.
Yeah.
You're doing something different in the punk world.
Mhm.
And talk to us briefly about how the band got started. You're all based here in Rhode Island initially.
Yeah.
How did the band get started?
Right, so it's funny, none of us are actually from Providence. We're all from different places. I'm from New York, Joey's from Connecticut, and Victoria and Mary are from the West Coast, and Joe DeGeorge, our saxophonist, is from Massachusetts. So we're from all over, but then we made it here in Providence. And the way that the band started is we all kind of just got together as friends from around the scene and wanted to start just a punk band. And originally, Victoria, our lead singer, was not in the band. She was working at a hotel with Joey DeFrancesco, who is the guitarist,
player, yeah.
right? And they were both in a union, actually, at the hotel, fighting against the management at the hotel, who was treating their workers sort of unfairly.
Yeah.
And then Joey was kind of in this band, and Victoria was like, man, I really want to like sing in a band and like be angry and like sing about those things. And Joey was like, just join our band. And so that's kind of how the band formed. And
Amazing.
it's kind of crazy to think that that's how it came about.
And when was that? How long ago was that?
That was we probably have been a band for maybe 6 years now, so maybe 2011. And me and Joey DeFrancesco, as well as Dan Schleifer, we all played in this band called the What Cheer Brigade.
Mhm.
It's a local brass band, and so that's kind of where we met before Downtown Boys started.
Yeah. It's cool. Downtown Boys has a really kind of unique sound. You know, there's the horns, and you have your front woman, Victoria, who is just totally badass. And in some ways, you call yourself a punk band, but you're sort of more than that. Is there a better way that you guys like to describe your music?
I mean, yeah, I don't think that we've ever found a perfect way to describe our band. I think we've just kind of said that it's like a political, like, party or a political dance party, because I think we all want to move away from this idea of punk and this idea of what punk is supposed to mean. And so over the years, we've kind of have said we're not a punk band because we don't want to be put into that box of what punk has meant for so long. I think we're a band that is kind of beyond punk, and we're sort of in a lot of ways the new punk, a band that isn't made up of predominantly white men, a band that is talking about issues that have been true in this country for the longest time and are still true when you talk about police brutality or the inequality of people of color or queer and transgender people. And so I think we're not punk, we're something else, and I think that's why we're all so excited when we play music, and I think that's what sort of gravitates people towards us, is this new identity or this new sort of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were mentioning the political aspect of your music, and that you really use your music and your artistic voice as a band to talk about these issues.
Yeah.
Inequality, capitalism, it kind of runs the gamut. So how do you feel that the current political climate has affected, or has it affected your music? Is it sort of, just something else to kind of work against, or is this a special situation for you guys?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you think about the history of politics in this country and sort of the history of like inequalities in this country. A lot of people like have asked us like, all right, so now that Trump is the president, like how have you guys adapted, and like has this made your music writing process any different? But really, when you look at our older albums, our self-released album on Full Communism, and now the album that is going to be released on August 11th, we're talking about the same things. You know what I mean? We're talking about things that have always kind of been wrong in this country, and things that have always kind of been talked about. And I think now that we've seen a president like Donald Trump be elected and actually sort of see and realize that people actually support this type of rhetoric and this type of ideology, people are paying more attention to the things that we are saying. But in reality, like, we've been saying the same things kind of over and over again for like 6 years. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but that's cool because people know that that's what they're going to get, you know, and people, I was just talking about this with my last guest in a completely different way. You know, he's using comedy, you guys are using this sort of punk forum of kind of anger, release, fun, party, all these feelings that you get from that particular kind of music to express this feeling. So people know that that's what they can get from one of your shows or one of your albums.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like your fan base expects that from you? Do you feel like you could ever break out of that if you wanted to?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but less from the perspective of our fans sort of expecting something, and more from the perspective of being people who live like in a world where people of color or women or whatever like are oppressed. So I don't think we'll ever stop talking about these things until the oppression and the inequality stop. And I think that that's something that will just always stick with us, and we'll always try to fight the good fight until, you know, we can no longer fight anymore. But.
Yeah, what I think is great about Downtown Boys as a band is that you're not just doing this from a musical point of view. You're actually, you know, putting this into force in life. I know a lot of the band members have worked with an organization here in Rhode Island called New Urban Arts. Tell us a little bit about that organization. It works with teenagers who are artists and kind of helps them to develop themselves as artists.
Yeah, so New Urban Arts is a local nonprofit organization. It's on Westminster Street, not too far from here. And New Urban Arts, like AS220's youth program, is sort of an organization that helps high schoolers, primarily high school students, mostly high school students of color from working class communities who don't have access to sort of artistic tools or supplies or mentors. It helps them be creative. It gives them a space in which they can be creative and they can find themselves as young professional artists, and it sort of helps them build a portfolio if they want to do that. It helps them develop skills if they want to do that. So it's a really great place for not only local artists and, you know, musicians or whatever to go and volunteer their time at, but it's a great place for local youth of color to go and sort of get all these resources and all these skills. And I've been a mentor there. Victoria has been a mentor there. Emmett Fitzgerald, our old saxophonist, has been a mentor there. And then Dan Schleifer, who was our bassist, he works there. I forget what his title officially is, maybe development coordinator or something, but he's the head honcho there. And yeah, it's just a great organization. AS220 as well, another local arts organization that we've all kind of worked at or have hosted shows. And yeah, just doing small things in the community, like when Donald Trump, during the inauguration, there was this inauguration protest show that happened in DC that we were unable to attend, so we hosted one here and sort of worked with local organizations in the community to like get them to pass out flyers and informations and pamphlets at the show. So yeah, just like any way that we can get out in the community and do things, we're just like willing and happy to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome because that's really where it starts. The biggest changes you can make are with the youth.
Yes.
Because they're going to be the ones making decisions as adults coming up. So there was also another situation that happened recently, and this is among other causes that as a band you guys sort of stand behind, but you recently played at South by Southwest. And there was a clause in the contract that they were giving people basically saying that if anyone sort of caught on that someone was playing music or performing and they may be basically illegal, that you would have to report them. And you guys as a band and some other band members in the organization stood up and said, we're not going to do this, and you were able to get them to change the contract. Talk to us about this. Is really cool.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because Joey DiFrancesco and Victoria Ruiz, the lead singer, had the most to do with that in the band. I think we all kind of like agreed this is something we should do and this is something that is wrong and that we should change. And I think, I don't remember the way that it totally came about, but right, we had this idea to sort of like start a petition where artists could sign on and sort of demand that South by Southwest change this clause. And it's interesting because I think that specific clause has been in their contracts for a while, and it's always kind of gotten attention, and like there's always been kind of traction on it, but it never got to this point. So it was really cool to have all these different artists from the punk community and just from the music world in general sort of supporting the petition and signing it. And it's really great because Sub Pop, who is our record label now, works sort of like totally on board to like help us with that, and they're like totally supportive. And so yeah, the clause got changed, and hopefully there are other things that are wrong with South by Southwest and major festivals in general in terms of like the spaces that they occupy and the people that they kick out sometimes. But that again is like one step in like the staircase of things that hopefully can change with festivals, including South by Southwest.
Yeah. And it's cool that you have other musicians and artists supporting. You know, you're definitely not alone in that endeavor. So that's really cool. So let's talk music a little bit. You guys have a new album coming out.
Yes, it's coming out August 11th.
August 11th. This is so cool. It's called Cost of Living.
Cost of Living, yep.
With your new record label Sub Pop, which is just a phenomenal label for indie music. And you can go to subpop.com and just see their roster of just awesome acts. So how does it feel to be working with them now?
It feels great. It's funny because I think we're so used to like this idea of like DIY and like putting art and music out yourself, and we thought that it was going to be this thing where it's this giant record label, this giant entity that is going
like
to
wanting
take
to
over.
Change you.
Right, wanting to change us, but they've been really straightforward and really sort of like free with us. Like they've let us sort of do whatever we want in terms of the music, in terms of the content, the political aspect of our music, and they haven't wanted to change anything, and we're just very happy to be with them and to be sharing our music with a much larger audience.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly going to help, and man, you guys deserve it. So so talk to us about sort of the songs on this album. Are they like, what can we expect to hear?
Yeah, I think comparatively to our last album, this album is similar, I guess, in like tone. It still has the political aspect, which we still have we're talking about similar things that we've been talking about on our last album, but I feel like the urgency is sort of felt more on this album, and I think musically we've kind of moved away from the traditional like straight punk rock sort of songwriting and have incorporated more synths, and as well as the saxophone that was always there. So musically it'll sound more like different, a little bit more sort of creative, and we're expanding on the ideas that we've had before. But the whole album, the album is called Cost of Living, and I guess it talks about a lot of these issues of like, well, in the world today, what is the actual cost of living, and what are the issues that people are going through, and the things that people are talking about, whether it's like real world issues, or just like political issues in the world, given that Trump is now our president. And my favorite song is "A Wall," which you see.
Yeah, I'm gonna play just a little snip, little taste, a little something. But tell me about this song. It's called "A Wall." I mean, I can kind of draw my own conclusions, but talk to me about.
Well, it's interesting. I guess the term "a wall," you could take it as metaphorically, whether it's walls, like border walls that try to keep people from coming to this country, people who have historically been a part of this country and who have made this country what it is. And then a wall, I think we also take it as like a psychological thing that can happen, whether it's like ideologies or rhetorics or people who try to keep you back and hold you back from doing things that you really care about and who stop you from believing in yourself and being yourself. So the idea of the song is that once you consider these walls and you step back and you analyze them, that they're just like a wall and like nothing more at all, and that like you can overcome that wall. So I guess that's the idea.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we're gonna just a little taste.
Play a little bit.
This is what I do, and I play the music and I dance. And we listen to it for a few seconds. And then I tell people go buy the album.
Go buy the album, August 11th.
August 11th.
We're playing at Aurora as well on August 11th.
We should definitely talk a little bit about tour dates. You're going to be performing around here in Rhode Island? Are you going
Yep.
on tour?
Yeah, so we're performing at Aurora August 11th. It's on Westminster Street. It's a really cool local venue. And then we're touring the rest of August. East Coast, West Coast, the South, Midwest. Pretty much August and September, we're going to do a full U.S. tour. And then October, we'll be in Europe for 2.5 weeks.
Awesome.
Predominantly UK, but also Italy and Germany and the Netherlands. So wherever you're at, we're coming to you.
Perfect. And where can we get more information on all of that stuff in case you didn't take notes?
Downtown Boys Bandcamp, or our Facebook, Downtown Boys, or Twitter, Downtown Boys, or subpop.com has all the info and tour dates as well.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna do a live fade out here. Norlan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck with the album release, August 11th. Go check them out, Downtown Boys on Bandcamp. And thank you so much. Good luck with the album.
Great, thank you. Goodbye.